Loan debt is crushing college students everywhere, saddling them with a financial burden that can easily exceed $100,000 or more before they even interview for their first job. Massachusetts State Senator Eric Lester of Longmeadow has proposed a student loan bill of rights to deal with this issue, and he sat down with me recently to discuss it.
So we introduced the bill. It was a similar bill that we introduced last year to create a student loan bill of rights. Basically what this would be is two parts. The first is it would create a new student loan ombudsman in state government, one person in state government responsible for fielding complaints about loan servicers from students and from their families, and also very importantly empowered to follow up and investigate abuses. Right now in state government, it's very hard to know exactly where to turn if you're a student or a family member experiencing, late night collection calls or have questions about interest rates or how to navigate all of those issues. It's very hard to know where to turn. So we would coordinate this all under one person empowered with sharing that information with students and very importantly following up on complaints they get or tips they might get about servicers that might not be following the rules. The second half of the bill is also very important. It would create a new licensing regime for student loan servicers. In Massachusetts, you need a license to cut hair, you need a license to sell a car, you need a license to sell insurance. One thing you don't need a license for is to service student loans. And this is a huge industry, and for many people, it's the most important financial decision they'll ever make in their life, going completely unregulated on a state level. This would create a new licensing structure so that we would be empowered if a servicer, for example, was continually violating the rules or abusing people or not telling people about their rights. We could yank that license or even kick them out of the state.
Can you be a little specific about some of the abuses or predatory practices that you're talking about? What kinds of things have you been hearing from people who are trying to pay back these loans?
Yeah, they're really awful experiences. I'll give you an example of a constituent of mine in Springfield who reached out to us. She had been a graduate of Mount Ida College, actually, and had been working and was doing what she was supposed to do, right? Had gotten an education, was out working, and then she lost her job temporarily and went 6 months without a job, and of course couldn't keep up with the loan payments for that small period when she was unemployed. Her loan went from a $5,000 balance to a $20,000 balance. She was never notified, for example, of income-based repayment that she could have been eligible for, or other programs.
And that would have been through a federal program?
Exactly. There are already, this is the issue, there are already federal laws on the books. For example, income-based repayment plans. If you're in public service, if you're a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer doing some type of public service work, you can be eligible for public service loan forgiveness. But these rules are not worth much if the servicer who is in charge of sending you your bill doesn't let you know what your rights are. And in this case, she would call and they wouldn't pick up the phone. And they wouldn't actually explain what her options were. At one point, they even claimed that she had never made payments at all, and she had no recourse. She eventually had to hire a private lawyer, cost $5,000, was able to get that balance negotiated down to $7,000. It took more than 2 years of effort.
And she started off with a $5,000 loan.
And only over a $5,000 loan that had been skyrocketed to $20,000. She then ended up getting it back down to $7,000, but that was after $5,000 in additional legal expenses. That is unconscionable and unfortunately is not uncommon. We are hearing this over and over and over again. Just in the state of Massachusetts alone, you have nearly 900,000 student loan borrowers owing collectively over $33 billion. The scale of this is immense.
And I know that one of the reports that I think you had been part of, the Student Borrower Protection Center, released some numbers that 100,000 Massachusetts borrowers are delinquent.
Exactly. So you have almost 900,000 people with pending loans. 100,000 are delinquent, and that number is getting added to every day. The loan balance just in Massachusetts goes up by $1 billion a year. It goes up $100 billion a year nationally. So this is a ticking time bomb in our economy.
So the Federal Reserve released a report talking about how this is affecting, the economy, specifically the housing market. For young adults from 24 to 32 years old, that's a big hit that they're taking, delaying buying a home. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Federal Reserve put out a study that said for every $3,000 in student loan debt, on average, that delays a person from buying their first home by up to a year. So if you think about that, the average student loan debt just in Massachusetts is over $30,000. So you're talking about more than a decade in delayed purchases of homes. You think about what that does to the economy, what that does for people's wealth creation, for their own families. Most families, they build their wealth through owning their own homes. If you're delaying that because of student loan payments, you're pushing that out. It's poisoning the rest of our economy.
Do you think as parents you need to think differently about this?
Oh, we have to have a big, serious conversation in this country about higher education. You know, and in this state, I think we're really facing a reckoning as the costs go up. We've talked about this on many shows quite a lot, and I'm a big champion of our manufacturing industry here in Western Mass because that's an example of a lucrative career you can have without a 4-year college degree, without $100,000 or more in student loan debt. So we have to have a much broader. We absolutely have to have a much broader conversation, and I'm a big proponent of that around vocational education, around CTE education, around more specialized, individualized learning, around our community colleges who are providing immense value for a fraction of the cost of the private schools. We have to empower that. We have to get more money into our higher ed institutions, but we also need to push for reforms in making sure that they're operating efficiently and that they're not increasing costs every year. So all of that absolutely needs to happen, but what we do have also is we have a predatory lending crisis, quite frankly, on our hands, which is you have now hundreds of thousands of people in Massachusetts, millions nationally, who have these massive debt burdens hanging over their head, and servicers and loan companies that are doing the wrong thing and are not doing what they're supposed to, and states right now are turning the other way. I think the other important element that really brings urgency to this is we've seen a complete breakdown of enforcement of federal consumer protection laws. Since the Trump administration's appointments have taken over at the CFPB, there has not been a single substantive enforcement against a student loan servicer. So in the absence of that federal action, we need states to step in and fill the gap. In Massachusetts, this is very urgent for us because our economy is very dependent on the higher education sector and on having high numbers of highly educated workers. People won't be able to go get an education if they're afraid of the debt loads.